You don't need me to tell you that when it comes to the stats on gun deaths, the United States is in a league of its own. But here's 3 things you may not be aware of when it comes to the politics behind the gun control debate in the US. First, did you know that the much-cited Second Amendment
I am extremely pro-Second Amendment.
has provided Americans with an individual right to bear arms for only the last 7 of the country's 239-year history? Yet, prior to a very controversial Supreme Court ruling in 2008, most US Supreme Court justices and attorneys general going back more than 2 centuries agreed that the Second Amendment was about protecting military or militia activities rather than, say, disturbed young men trying to buy assault rifles at gun shows. Former Supreme Court Chief Justice Warren Burger called the so-called Second Amendment objection to gun control one of the greatest pieces of fraud on the American people by any special interest group. Burger was referring, of course, to the National Rifle Association, the NRA. But did you know that up until the 1970s, the NRA wasn't all that interested in gun rights and more interested in gun safety and, yes, even gun control? In fact, while this is what the NRA boss says now,
American gun owners will never surrender our Second Amendment freedom, period.
this is what the NRA president told Congress back in 1934. Carrying guns should be sharply restricted and only under licenses. So basically, the NRA doesn't agree with the NRA. Third, most US conservatives these days are quick to invoke their hero, former President Ronald Reagan.
I'm a Reagan conservative.
But did you know, and do they know, that Reagan, who remember was shot in the chest in 1981, backed gun control in 1991. In fact, earlier as governor of California, Reagan signed into law a 15-day waiting period on handgun sales. What a traitor. The reality is, Reagan quite liked the idea of background checks, the NRA hasn't always opposed gun control, and the Second Amendment hasn't always meant what people think it means.